Welcome to the bright side of longevity. Join host Dr. Roger Landry along with co-host Danielle Pailly and guests as they discuss the bright side of getting older through healthy longevity. Guided by research, this lighthearted and educational show will leave you with practical ways to brighten your life's journey. Maria Genné is a dancer, choreographer, and educator. Recognized as a pioneering leader in the intergenerational, interactive, participatory, performing arts and health fields. Her national award-winning work to create interactive dance, music, and story programs for intergenerational participants is designed to tap into the artistry and creativity of older adults and invite them to be central collaborators in the artistic process of dance, music, and storytelling. In 2001, Maria developed the Dancing Heart, a nationally recognized evidence-based program which engages older adults of all abilities in weekly interactive arts participation and health education. It was featured in the 2012 PBS documentary Arts and the Mind and is recognized as a model arts involvement program by the National Endowment for the Arts, the National Center for Creative Aging, and winner of awards for program innovation by the American Public Health Association, American Society on Aging, and others. Maria is also an AARP Minnesota Pollen Midwest Leadership 2019 award winner.
Well, welcome everybody to the bright side of longevity. I'm here with Danielle. Danielle, how are you today? Did you have a great holiday? I hope you did.
I had a fantastic holiday, and John spoiled me to a very lovely dinner at a French restaurant. And Roger, thank you for the lovely gift card. We're going to enjoy some Mediterranean cuisine probably next week.
Well, that's only a gift card, but what I would really do if I wanted to be fully demonstrate my appreciation to you is bow down. And, you make me look so good, and you're such a good friend and pool player and all that. We have been in each other's kitchens, and I think that says a lot. Anyway, well, that's good. Well, I am excited about today. As a physician, I slugged through a world of left brainers and study and it was good and I had to do it, but only, and you know this, hell, you know my Myers-Briggs now, and you know that I really am a right brainer, and being in a left brain world for all of my life, it was not uncomfortable or unpleasant, but it wasn't the match. And so I love dealing with creative people and people in the arts, and we have one of those today. And folks, you've heard of Maria's bio there, and we are so happy to have you, Maria. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Well, Maria, we first met you. Masterpiece had an annual meeting way back in 2018. It was called the Lyceum. A very Greek thing, we called it. And you were there with Kairos Alive, which is, as a dancer and a choreographer and an educator and a storyteller, I think those are the kind of qualifications that would have been necessary to put this together. And I want to hear about it. So tell me, what inspired you to start Kairos Alive? And, well, we're going to hear more about the stories from it, but let's start at the beginning.
Oh gosh, the beginning goes back so far though. So the beginning goes that I've always danced, and I love moving through space. And I want to say that I think sailors also do as well. Having that, a big space to then decide, how am I going to navigate through this space with energy, with slowly, quickly. But as a kid, for me, it was just the way that I could communicate, and the way that I think now I'm realizing it was always my spiritual touchstone. It was a way that when I didn't understand what was going on in the world, and you know, um, as a young kid, I had actually a lot of loss. And for me, the when I was in the music, because for me, dance and music are inseparable. We'll have to talk later about the name of Kairos, the Greek name, but also the word orchestra is a Greek word for the place of dance. So that the Minoans actually said that dance and music were totally connected, and theater, dance, music, theater, storytelling, and that's always been true for me. So my mom didn't think that being a dancer would be a career that I could support myself in, and luckily I loved kids, and this was when I was a kid, and I didn't really want to grow up because I didn't want to sit down. I wanted to be able to keep moving. So I started creating my own creative dance programs. And when I was 16, my teacher said, "Here, could you teach the kids? Because I don't want to do that, the little ones." So I had my scarves because I like dancing with scarves. I had my, the records, and I think eventually I got instruments. But then I started sharing with other younger children what I loved, that ability to interpret the music, to find my own story in the dance and the music, and so that was the start. So um, ended up I was going to be a teacher because I had volunteered in Head Start, and I had done this summer arts workshop for kids, and it was really successful. And you know, the, but I felt real frustrated when I got to college because it seemed like the people hadn't seen a kid in a while, and it was boring, and it was about sitting down, and memorizing. That's what it seemed to me. I should also mention that I used to get in trouble in school all the time because now I understand I was a kinesthetic learner. I am a kinesthetic learner.
Yeah.
And the teachers would like, sit down, be quiet, and for me, how to learn is through movement, right? And we know now that's embodied cognition. That was how I learned. But back in the day, we didn't understand that. We didn't understand there's so many languages, and intelligence is in many different forms. So anyway, I long story. I went to Europe for a while because I thought, man, I don't want to be stuck in a school getting kids in two lines. And I found about this program in open education at the University of North Dakota. It was called the Center for Teaching and Learning. And I packed myself there and found this group of people that wanted to transform education, came out of that progressive education um, uh, a line. But there, they liked that I danced and that I created these programs for kids. We started our own kindergarten because they didn't have a kindergarten at that time in North Dakota, and I started it was a dance and theater company called the Locomotive Eye, and we traveled around to schools and did puppetry and dance. So I just sort of made it up and ended up being in graduate school teaching creative dance and theater to undergraduate students, and still wanted to keep dancing and how to put that all together, and ended up falling in love and moving to North Dakota, of all things, actually Minnesota, Moorhead, Minnesota, and was in a dance company there, but I ran the children's program. And then I ended up working in the schools in creative, creative dramatics. And so that really allowed me to just give more sort of foundation to what I had come up with as a kid, and then as a student, and then in my own exploration, and but with some amazing teachers at graduate school. But I ended up, there was a person, this was back in the 70s, right, when there was a lot more money for the arts. And I went, there was a young woman who came from Utah. It was Utah Repertory Dance Theater. And this was at UND, at this place that I was supposed to be learning to be a teacher. And I started dancing more. And long story short, that was my graduate degree is in education, but specializing in the arts. And there was a dean there who then later went to Harvard, Vito Perrone, who just supported what I did, and other teachers there too, because they couldn't do that, and they understood the power of whole brain learning, but we didn't have all the research for it yet. And I think that's what I was, trying to understand, but also experiencing, and then trying to find ways that I could translate for others. So started teaching creative dance, as well as working in the schools. Ended up being in Seattle, met another fellow creative dance teacher, Anne Green Gilbert, and came back to Minnesota when I was pregnant with our first daughter, and back in 1979. And a few years later, started a young people's dance company, because it was what I wished that I had always had, but inspired by what Anne had done. So it wasn't, I was the only person in town that I didn't do recitals. I'm like, I don't do recitals, because what I love to do is I create in collaboration with the young people I'm working with. We create dances that are from our own discovery and creativity, not just practicing the same thing over and over again. And also, when I was a kid, my mom had to make costumes for me, and I remember it was a lot of work. So I thought, no, we'll just scarves, like so. But so that was, so I had the it's still going. It's called Young Dance, and I'm really excited now, because it's really expanded. Just as we all are expanding and including and welcoming dancers of all abilities. So young people of all abilities are part of the company and the classes that they have. But this isn't, 10 years after I started it, I kept on thinking, but there's more. How do I
do it? I knew it.
yeah, there's more. And I was getting older. I had children, and they were growing up, and I wanted to be part of that creative community. And so I, put myself every once in a while in the choreography, and with the young people, they were creating, their own pieces. There was which then we highlighted, one on the Holocaust, on the Black Plague, on coming of age, and the work that I created. I wanted it to be something that they were invested in. It came out of their lives. It wasn't just something that to look nice or look pretty. And I had lots of boys in the company, and I said I didn't make a pretty dance for a long time, because I didn't want to alienate anyone. So back to here I am going, what else is there? And I thought, well, I didn't know about Liz Lerman at that time. I had seen the picture of the third age, where the elders and Liz are dancing or standing, creating a beautiful shape. And but I thought, I love the word intergenerational. And at that point, I was doing my own, as usual. I was just like, well, I came up first with this idea of voices of my grandmothers. That was sort of the original title of it, in that, how are our stories, how are connected through generations? How is our dance? How is our creativity connected through generations? And so I got myself to Crete, traveled there, had some amazing experiences, especially in Zakros, where they're still digging up um, the the remnants of this civilization that I think was one of partnership and creativity and of appreciating beauty and the world as a sacred space. And so that kind of, how my own, discovery, because I think Danielle was saying later, oh, I guess I was about 48. I hadn't figured that out, but I still felt pretty young. But also looking for that, how I can continue to translate my many years of experience of seeing the power of whole brain learning. And now I'm understanding, seeing the power of embodied cognition, and how that children or the family members that I work with or the grandparents that I worked with in the creative dance classes and young dance would come alive when they were dancing. That I could, and the people I worked with, people with all different abilities, because as a freelance dance theater person, I was asked to do pretty much anything, and I would always try. And I wanted to offer to people and to myself too what it would be to have an intergenerational dance company. What if I think that that's an important idea, that as Peter Whitehouse calls about intergenerativity. If I see the power of that in my life with these young people and in the dance company and their families and the grandparents and the people in the adult day programs, then what if I could create something that other people could also experience and see? So, and I had just come out of, that performance life that was always there, that I was always struggling with, because I thought it's not just about the people on stage, right? It's I always have believed that dance, movement and music, story is a right of us as humans. And now I'm realizing many of the animals, the elephants sway through the forest in ways that I wish that I could move. I've tried to create dances about birds. Could I fly like a bird? No, but I've tried. I've tried that in my own creative life. So the idea of Kairos came out of all of that, that being with children and families and teachers, and some starting to work some in the health community, but I was always against, like, well, that's lovely, that's very nice, but that's not real learning. And so it was like, I wanted to show, yes, it is learning. It is a way of understanding, and also it's a way of it's part of our healing in everyday life, but as on the earth, that if we're dancing on the earth, it's a reminder that the earth is our mother, and the earth, the ground is our ground, and it is sacred. So Kairos, which means, it's an ancient Greek word, or keros, if said with in the appropriate accent, means the open moment, or when eternity meets the present. And when I started coming up with this, I was looking around for other folks, and I had some alumni from Young Dance, from the dance company, Young People's Dance Company. I met some Jungians, and so they were willing to kind of join. There were some older, very progressive nuns that joined me. I don't know how. And then I ended up going over to the senior center where my mom was going to the adult day program there. And this takes me the next probably part of Kairos, in that I thought, well, maybe I could find some older adults that might be interested, and walking into this adult day program, which was designed for frail older adults, or adults, with who are vulnerable. And I thought, they were all just sitting around, and a couple of them said, yeah, I used to dance, but now it hurts. And I thought, so this is back to my working in creative dance in the schools. If I can get sixth grade boys to dance, I should be able to get folks
Yeah.
chairs to dance.
Sure.
So that was, I had this, I'd started this intergenerational dance company, and we performed first out in a field in Carver Park in 1999. But also that these older adults that I was having the opportunity to work with, I'm like, how is this going to work? But what I found is that as people moved, even in their chairs, and I just started adapting the creative dance work that I'd done, that they came alive. I remember I was told that some people had, this was back, 2001, Alzheimer's, and they had lost their memory. But I was finding that my experience, that the people I was working with, they would remember more after they moved or while they moved, and started sharing stories. And we started trying to find music that they remembered, that different people remembered. And then one day though, it was like, I was like, oh, tell me all about retirement, how much retirement is, how great that is. And they're like, no, let me tell you about work that I have loved. But before that, I had come in one day because my older daughter, this was right before 9/11, and she was going to Ghana for the semester. And I said, how in one moment we can hold both joy and grief, just in that moment, just in our hearts, we can hold it. And one elder said he remembered, and now this is we're speaking, so I'm gonna audio describe. I'm reaching out on my right hand because he could just move on his right side, and he did a movement of drawing his granddaughter, remembering my granddaughter, holding her on my lap, or Elsie, and she put her hands on her head, and she remembered her sweet husband and how much she missed him. And Cecil, with his hand reaching out, I'm reaching my hand and putting on a rabbit-headed cane. And Jack, now I'm going to take out my hand and throw out a line to a fishing pole and bring in the fish. Jack remembered fishing at Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And so from those stories of those very frail elders in chairs, I created the first sort of intergenerational piece called Dances of the Heart. And then I went to this group of kids and older adults and retired nuns and Jungians and asked the same question, and then created this dance, which I'll tell you how then. So we brought that to American Society in Aging in 2004. And that's where I met Susan Pearlstein and Dr. Jean Cohen. And we shared Dances of the Heart and these stories of joy and grief. And we had a standing ovation. And that was, but I didn't know if people would get it. But then they were crying. I mean, I was crying too, because it was so powerful to then start being mirrored. And there was an understanding that you can be old and beautiful, but then also that you have gifts. And, Dr. Cohen taught me that, we have gifts to return. And so that was the opportunity. And then Kairos kept going, is how can I create these spaces, these experiences where people can participate in the art making, and then they can return, but we can do that intergenerationally. that young people, little ones and elders dance, and the adults in between, but we start working collaboratively, because that's what Kairos is all about, is creating connection, which is communication, which then you create hope, you create possibility, you create ideas, and then I think you create health, you create well-being.
So, what a storyteller. Yes, you are indeed a storyteller. We're finding out probably we danced before we could speak, before we had language. And so this has, as you're discovering, this is very deep rooted in our DNA. We've attempted to cover it probably over the years, and since the Industrial Revolution, where we changed everything, how we lived and everything, but it's still there, and it doesn't go away that quickly because it's an evolutionary thing, and it's there. And it's like you're an archaeologist, a human archaeologist digging deep to the basics of who we are. Maria, wow, I mean, that's just fantastic.
Well, thank you, Roger, for seeing that and hearing that. That's powerful for me, because a lot of times people have shaken their heads and gone, why would you do that with older people who've lost their memory?
Well, you probably know the maestro, David Dworkin. He has conductor size, and he has a similar, with the classical music and moving people. He has somewhat of a similar approach and has discovered things similar to what you have. But you're intergenerational. We have struggled in Masterpiece and as a society, only recently becoming aware of the importance of intergenerational contact and connection. And we've put ourselves in certain pathways where that becomes extremely difficult to do, and yet it's absolutely necessary. So congratulations. I hope this is the beginning of an awakening of way beyond Kairos Alive as a society, where we know that this is important.
We need to move. Well, we're creative beings. And again, back to the elephants, I've been really, I don't know if you read the article about, that creating this elephant-sized marimba, this one artist has, that we all, I think the, rhythm and sound are totally connected. And one thing that, yes, and I think we are understanding the power of movement, because we know now when we stop moving, then we aren't as healthy, and and actually not moving is not living, right? In a way, our heart is beating, but when I started working with a group, they let me work with a group of people with mid to late stage Alzheimer's back in 2005. And first they said, don't let anyone stand up, they might fall. And I went, okay, we're just going to be in a circle. And after a while, of course, we were able to stand. I got to work with a group of older veterans at the VA Adult Day program for many years. And we were so careful. We never had a fall. We always had chairs. We always had people, volunteers. But I could see over and over again, whether it was men or women or children or grandmas or teenagers, that when given a safe space, no shame, no blame, right? Safe space to create in. And given context, it's not like, oh, it's back to the thing, I couldn't do recitals. I'm not just going to give you these steps and you're going to do them. How is this movement connected to your story, to who you are, what inspires you? And it might be just that you're doing a swing dance and we adapt it because that's what you did in high school and you loved it. And now it's kind of more like the twist. That's another great one. People, it's in them. But the thing that I want to share that I still sort of is, I mean, like both of you, I'm always like looking for the next, what do I uncover next? And, I wanted to keep on supporting people because I'll work in communities and start introducing this work, whether it's in a nursing home or an adult day program or in a school, when I was working with teachers, how do I keep on giving them ideas? Because so unless you've grown up in open education and been given this opportunity to be creative all your life, right, it's hard to come up with those ideas. So I had heard, this was like almost 7 years ago, about Zoom, and I'm like, well, let's try the teaching on Zoom. And it was limited. I mean, Danielle and I were talking about earlier. I mean, Zoom used to be able to just go off, or you just wouldn't, there'd be no, it would just shut down. But once COVID came in, right, then things changed. And so when we had started doing some of this training but we did have this weekly show, and we had some groups of elders and then groups of some young people that we had worked with, and they were willing to come on and try this. And one of my favorite groups is a group of Hmong American elders who saw us on TV and loved dancing with us. Because, but when COVID happened, we just went, first we would start doing, Facebook Live, because we thought, here we are in our living room, my daughter and I, we better keep people moving. But we just blessed the Bader Foundation. They had given us a grant just right before COVID to start this weekly program. And because people were home, we had grandparents, we had kids, we had, people in between. And we kept it going. It's called the Kairos Clubhouse. And I never would have guessed that that people would dance online with each other. I mean, it's not perfect. The best thing is the sites that we have when they have a big giant screen. And we've done it with our friends in Spanish at Centro Tyrone Guzman, which is the Wise Elder program. And, again, best can I be in the room, but it gets me in the room to places that I never could be. Bemidji, Minnesota is a 4-hour drive from here, but I can be with my friends at the Disability Achievement Center every week, and we can give ideas, share ideas, collaborate together. But then they, can take some of those ideas and play with them at the rest of the week.
So we know that Kairos Alive is intergenerational, but it's also intercultural and adaptable for all levels of living. Can you talk about the personal impact you've noticed in the communities you've worked with, particularly in uniting different cultures, different physical abilities, everything?
Yes, I think the opportunity always is actually through invitation, right? So we were invited number of years ago, and this is connected to the health research. There's a health organization in Minnesota, Medica, and they had taken over the Medicaid clients in the state, and they had created this amazing outreach program, and so they offered that we had started part of our my whole work about how do we have this participatory art making rather than just being on stage as an intergenerational performing group. We started creating these dance halls, intergenerational dance halls, and with a live band. And we started first with an accordion player and a fiddler, but then we expanded to live band, and just and would bring, there'd be kids from the third grade, and then the elders, and families that would come depending on the day, and so they said, well, why don't you try that? And we have some places we want you to go. And one is the local community center. It's called Centro Tyrone Guzman, which is the Latine Community Center here in Minneapolis. And so we decided we'd do this intergenerational dance hall. We got this local band, Malamania, and had a dance hall in the parking lot. We brought we have a huge maypole. We brought that, but our whole how we work in this participatory art making, which I just want to keep on saying. So it isn't just performance now. It's like how, in the community, that we model different ways that people can dance together, with someone in a chair, someone standing, two chairs, with a ribbon, just all different abilities. But yet dance is a universal language. Music is a universal language there, and so we wove together this participatory experience so that the elders, I always say the elders have to be in the center of the community. Mm-hmm. So we will even create a circle of chairs facing out where the elders are sitting, and then we dance around, but they're in the center. And so many times we make sure that we highlight different elders. There was an amazing singer, I remember that day, who performed, and we all cheered. And there is a moment, and I have to laugh now because they're dear friends, and I've danced with them for many years. Sol, who's from Puerto Rico, and originally her family is from Puerto Rico, and Armando from Cuba, danced together, and it was so gorgeous, so amazing. And I remember Armando later said, I came as a 75-year-old and I left as a 55-year-old.
All right.
So that was our introduction to Centro, and through them we met our amazing colleague, Vladimir Garrido Biagetti, who is a Kairos artist, and we have in person done many intergenerational sessions with Vlad, and with us, Vlad speaking Spanish, me and Parker and Tom doing English, and working with the children in the Montessori program they have there, summer program with the elders, but always finding ways like what are the elders teaching the dances they learned as young people to the children. Another story, I remember a 6th grade class coming to a nursing home in St. Paul, and the elders were teaching the kids swing dance, and then the kids, this dates it, they wanted to teach the elders the Macarena, which so
bringing me back to my college days.
right. So with our intergenerational dance halls, those are that participatory art making. There's the professional artists in there, but we're always curating the participation of the young people, of the elders, and finding ways to highlight each other, but always again with the elders in the center.
Dr. Roger Landry is a preventive medicine physician trained at Tufts University School of Medicine and Harvard University School of Public Health. For nearly 2 decades, his focus has been on empowering older adults to experience a healthy longevity. He is the award-winning author of the book Live Long, Die Short, A Guide to Authentic Health and Successful Aging. Dr. Landry is an inspiring storyteller and presenter. His keynote addresses are powerful, entertaining, and optimistic. Learn more at livelongdieshort.com.
Fantastic. Elders in the center. Boy, isn't that the way it's been for eons with humans, right? Not recently, but you get it back. You get the outcomes you want. You get smiles, you get laughs, you get people hugging you, you see people coming alive. The researchers want to hear other outcomes. And
Right.
are there ones that you've measured? I mean, from a holistic standpoint, outcome?
Sure. Oh, sure. I mean, I want to go way back because there's so many details to stories. But back in 2003, that study came out from the Einstein College of Medicine about leisure activities and delaying the onset of dementia. And I remember calling up one of the researchers, Dr. Verghese, and going, Dr. Verghese, can you come and research us? I'm seeing anecdotal evidence of these adults with memory loss, and they're learning new things. They're learning dances. They're participating. They're remembering that, again, that embodied cognition was in full force. And he said, well, you should find someone in Minnesota. Of course, I call up Mayo Clinic and talk to the head person there. And he said, well, that's very interesting. That would be an intervention study, but we're going after the cure. But luckily, I had then met the next year Dr. Gene Cohen, who became an amazing mentor, along with Susan Pearlstein. And he suggested, when we started doing this project with the Wilder Foundation with a group of older adults, it was, using a mini mental state and exam and a balance one, which we did. And at that point, again, it was an imperfect, it was just, done by staff and the professionals there, the physical therapists and social workers. But we saw a 40% decrease just in falls, and also in what we thought of as dementia. But it was, I think what I'm looking now, and we got an Archstone Award from that. That was, just to even see the difference. But what staff also said they saw, again, a lot of it was anecdotal, that delayed the progression. And I think that's something that we're learning now, that we can intervene. And too bad that Mayo Clinic didn't want to study us a long time ago, but anyway, yeah. And
say much
since
about their
then,
preventive aspects, that I'm a preventive guy. It's too bad. I agree.
I know you are. I know. I wish I had met you so long ago. Right. Because we can change the trajectory. Not all the time. We're not, we're all mortal, but I've seen over the years that that people are able to be creatively engaged. My thing is, we can always be successful in the moment, and how it isn't always about what happened before and what we remembered is going to happen in the future, but in that moment. But the other studies that have been done, we've got 7 published papers in the on the St. Catherine University Sophia platform, and those are links on our website. But and so one of the couple of the papers were on our work 2 years in 5 nursing homes, and that, again, we were able to intervene with the depression, that literally, because that's, and after 24 weeks, really, that we were able to, it no longer was, I'm trying to think of the words, we were able to increase or decrease the depression and maintain that. I think that's the biggest one, is maintain. It's not like, oh, just because of right after the class, but that next week. And then, and again, the challenge is, the grant ends, and then the staff are back to how are they supposed to keep this programming going, thus our Kairos Clubhouse trying to do this weekly thing. And then the last one that I want to share is that we've been doing ongoing evaluation with our Clubhouse, and again, that Zoom show. And what we're finding is that people just say they feel more connected, which I think is important, and they move in new ways. Is like 70%, they move in new ways to me, which is powerful, because again, and I'm, you're the medical professional, we want that, right? Even just someone sitting in a wheelchair, if they don't move in a new way, they're going to start, have skin abrasions. And it's important to even move in a wheelchair, right? But it's important as humans for us
It's ironic that Maria, that a paper from Mayo, the title was "Sitting is the New Smoking." So it was how being sedentary puts you at risk for everything. So this is very intuitive, excellent outcomes, and working with Gene and others. Boy, we miss him, don't we?
Yeah.
This, I don't know. This has been very exciting for me. I'm Danielle. I won't speak for you, but I know how you feel about it. And this has just been fantastic. And I consider you a pioneer. I consider you a champion for our core humanity. And I'm so happy to be in a couple of organizations with you. And even on virtual, when we have a virtual meeting, I feel your energy,
Thank you, both of you. Thank you so much. It's just such a delight to be in this conversation, and I'm honored. I'm really honored. Thank you.
Wow. So
Oh, it's so inspiring to see someone who obviously loves their work, is fully in their life's purpose, and is just like, to see someone so in the moment and filled with such joy. It does my heart good. So thank you for joining us today. You were the highlight of Lyceum 2018 for me. I don't know if Roger remembers this, but I was videoing different presentations, and I left the camera running so I could join the dance. So you'll see me in the one video of Lyceum. I'm like, okay, I might get in trouble, but I don't care. I'm dancing. So
go with your heart, right?
yeah. So where can people go to learn more about your work? Can you give us a website?
Sure. Easiest is our website. It's Kairos Alive, one word, no caps, KAIROSALIVE.org, kairosalive.org. And I think if you Google that, we come up, and it's easy to find. And please, our Kairos Clubhouse is free. We keep on writing grants to make that possible. We love it when people join us from all over. And so if you contact us, there's a way, email at info@kairosalive.org and say you're interested. And we do some protection around Zoom because we want people to feel safe. But we would love to have you join us.
All right. Doc Roger and I will see you in the clubhouse.
Well, we're taking a little break this month because I'm going to go traveling, but then I'll be back. But
okay.
Yeah. Yes. Well, and also just honored. I want to say honored to be in organizations too. And I'm excited, get to the first live meeting or the in-person meeting. But, yes, I think, and find your luck, there are people dancing everywhere. Just make sure, I just want to say to people, it's not like you have to have a certain outfit to dance in, or, it's whatever you're humming and moving to is dance. It's a dance. It's your own dance, or playing on the radio, or showing up at a outdoor dance party, or dancing with your loved one in chairs together, just holding hands.
Well, there you have it. You heard it from the national resource in my mind. Take care of yourself while you travel. Safe travels.
Thank you.
Come back with more stories, and I have no doubt that we're going to get together again. I know that this will be an excellent session and one that's going to be valuable, but I want to hear more, and I look forward to being with you in person again.
Thank you. Thank you both. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. You've been listening to The Bright Side of Longevity with host and preventive medicine physician and award-winning author Dr. Roger Landry and co-host nationally board-certified positive psychology and mindfulness coach Danielle Pailly. If you like the show, please rate and review, and be sure to click to follow.